Today's video is dedicated to those things in life that aren't sexy but are really important. You know, stuff like law. Not sexy, but imagine a world without law. Or your internal organs. Pretty important for keeping you alive, but sorry to tell you, they're not particularly sexy. Well, today's video topic is another one of these things. And in fact, for a business, is one of the most important metrics. But so few marketing managers ever focus on customer lifetime value, or how much revenue you generate from each of your customers over their lifetime. Well, ends today. Let's go. Yeah, that was a pretty weird intro, but you catch my drift. Customer lifetime value is super important. In fact, it's one of the most important metrics of any business. And yet, so few businesses and marketers ever focus on customer lifetime value. I totally get it, by the way, because I'm exactly the same. There's an attraction, there's something exciting and fun about going after new customers, about the idea of all these new marketing channels that we could be using, all this new traffic we could be getting. That buzz when you see someone purchase for the first time, or you see a whole bunch of new subscribers. Existing customers, past customers, yeah, sure, they're in there somewhere. They're in a list, or they're on my website somewhere. Maybe they'll repurchase again. That'd be nice, I guess. But new customers, well, want to know who does take customer lifetime value really seriously? You don't care, do you? But if you did, drum roll, all of our fastest growing clients, without exception. Because here's the thing, as digital marketing gets more competitive and businesses are willing to invest more in acquiring each customer, the onus becomes on how we can maximize the revenue from each of those customers, i.e. customer lifetime value. All it takes is for a few really aggressive private equity funded businesses to move into any industry and massively overspend on customer acquisition, and pretty soon the businesses that are just relying on first sale to make their profit cannot afford to compete any longer. And from there, it's down to maximizing customer lifetime value. Generating more revenue from each of the customers that comes into your business is a great way to insulate yourself against this risk. Not to mention that selling to existing customers is generally much cheaper, often free, compared to selling to new customers. So in this video, we're going to look at some ways to increase your customer lifetime value. These are based on our analysis of some of the world's fastest growing companies, as well as our client work with some pretty sick beasts. And by the way, in today's video, we're going to be using examples from B2B and B2C. I'm going to be showing you some live examples, but where possible, we're going to zoom out and look at the principles in play here. Because what I really want you to do is, when you're looking at something in maybe a completely different market to yours, think, how can I apply this principle to my business? Because that's really where the value comes from any of this. Ready? Wish I could do that. Let's go. So when it comes to increasing customer lifetime value, we really have two levers to play with. The first lever that we can pull is increasing the number of purchases that each customer makes, say by selling subscriptions or by reactivating expired customers. The second lever that we have to pull is increasing the order value of each of those purchases, say by offering additional add-ons or upsells or premium options. Of course, as with all of these things, the best results come to businesses that are able to increase the frequency or the number of purchases that people are making, as well as increasing the value of each of those purchases. Now we're going to look at examples of each, and firstly we're going to start by breaking down the different ways that you can increase the number of purchases that customers make with you. One of the most popular ways of increasing the number of purchases that customers make with you is to bump them into some sort of subscription. One example of a business that's nudging customers into subscription in order to increase their lifetime value is Athletic Greens. Now, Athletic Greens sells this kind of this green powder stuff with all these minerals in and things like that. So on their website, you can either buy a one-time purchase of the bag for £97, or you can see that they're really trying to nudge you into one of their subscription options. And we have two. We have the single subscription, which is £79, and notice how they're specifying the cost per serving to really highlight the benefit of subscribing. Or you can get the double subscription, which includes a bit more of an incentive. They also incentivize you with this shaker and this starter kit as well. Now, it's a smart move and it really makes sense, right? Because of course, if you're subscribing, then you're more likely to buy more product than if they're relying on you to take the initiative to repurchase every time. All this needs to do to make financial sense for them to offer is for them to get one more purchase out of you than they would have otherwise if they were just relying on your initiative to come back and make another purchase. Another way of nudging people into subscriptions is to actually offer the subscription as the default purchase method. So for example, on Together, we see how by default they're selling you into the subscription offering, which adds this 10% discount. If you want to buy one time only, you actually have to take an action to do that. But really the thing that I love most about this is that they allow you to choose the volume and the frequency of your subscription, essentially customizing your subscription according to your usage needs. This makes a ton of sense because it means that you don't end up with too much stock, which might nudge you into canceling the subscription altogether, but also allows you to increase your usage if that suits your lifestyle. I mean, subscriptions are everywhere, right? They're one of the trends in e-commerce. You can get subscriptions for everything, literally. Whether you want a baking kit for your children, or you want to buy apocalypse survival items by subscription. I mean, what do you get for the person who has everything? Well, everything other than confidence about humanity's future hopes of survival. Now, subscriptions can be so valuable that we've even started seeing businesses that maybe wouldn't have previously relied on subscription moving into the subscription world. For example, GoPro, whose revenue always used to come from the sales of their devices, now has a subscription offering, giving you access to their cloud backups and a discount in their store. Oura Ring, which is like a health fitness tracker, like that one, now has a membership, allowing you to optionally pay monthly for basically functionality that used to come from a one-time purchase. And it goes without saying, the reason that these companies are so keen to add subscription revenue to their business is because it is so high margin and it allows them to increase their lifetime value without investing any more in marketing. Once you've got that customer, selling them into a subscription means that you continue to milk them forever without having to ever resell them. B2B companies can use subscriptions for things like maintenance packages and support. Notice here how software company Telestream has a premium support offering for their B2B software products, ScreenFlow. This gets you things like priority support through their ticket system and phone support. So think about what your business can offer on subscription. It might not be your core product, it might be a support product, it might be additional services or some sort of community features. The next way of increasing the number of purchases that your customers make is if you're selling something which is either consumed or needs to be renewed, to run marketing campaigns that are about to enter this crucial renewal or repurchase cycle. One example of a B2B client that we work with sells an accreditation, and this accreditation expires every year or two. So we did some work to help them increase the percentage of their members that renew their subscription. We set up automated email marketing campaigns that activated just before people were due to renew. This resold them on the benefits of this particular accreditation and encouraged them to take the steps to renew. But we didn't just leave it there. We also fed the user data of the people that were about to come up for renewal to Google and Facebook in order to run targeted ads to these people, both on Google Display Network and through Facebook and Instagram. We also set up an automated workflow that fed the user data of the people that were about to come up for renewal to Google and Facebook so that we could run targeted marketing to them on Google Display Network, Facebook and Instagram, running display ads to emphasize, again, the benefits of renewing their subscription. This means that when people came up for renewal, they started getting emails about renewal and they started seeing ads about renewal. By covering our bases and not relying on any one marketing channel to start this renewal conversation, it means that if somebody, for example, doesn't see the email or doesn't see the display ads, we've still got a fallback method of contacting them. So this works well for any business where there is a defined period of membership, i.e. something needs to be renewed, or it's a consumable product. Let's say, for example, that you're selling moisturizer. The first step you would want to take with this is to identify the average repurchase frequency. Now, if you're selling a year's membership to something, the repurchase is obvious, it's a year. But if you're selling something like a moisturizer, you would want to know how often people, on average, repurchase that product. What you then want to do is start the promotion for the repurchase or renewal before people are due to run out. What you don't want is for that person to run out of moisturizer, go online and start shopping for new replacement moisturizer. You want a chance to get them before they enter that new customer journey and start shopping. The same with the renewal. You want to start targeting people before they come up for renewal so that they already have in their minds and can begin selling themselves on the prospect of renewal. If you're a business that sells something where customers can upgrade, for example, you release a new version, then you can increase the purchase frequency by running promotions to your existing customers, advising them of the upgrade. This is an Aura ring. It basically tracks stats and gives me information. I think this is version 2 of the ring, and late last year, Aura came out with version 3. Now, they could have just hoped that I saw all the hype around the new version and decided to upgrade. But what they did instead was they ran a promotion to existing owners of the Aura ring, explaining what the new version did and incentivizing them to upgrade. They offered a discount and free lifetime membership to their new subscription, which they added. Which is a smart move because it would have cost them very little to get me to repurchase as opposed to getting someone new who started researching fitness trackers to purchase an Aura ring for the first time. They passed some of that saving on to me as an incentive to make another purchase. Now, one of the great things about this strategy is that when Aura reached out, they didn't need to sell me on the overall benefits of owning an Aura ring. I already understand what it is and what it does. So they could tailor their marketing specifically to telling me what was new about the new version versus the one I had. Now, if we go back to Telestream and their product ScreenFlow, they do exactly the same thing. When you purchase a ScreenFlow license, every time they upgrade the product, you have to buy a new license. But you don't have to go back to the start and pay full price for it. They reach out with an offer to encourage you to upgrade. They also tailor their message specifically, telling you what's new about the version that they're selling now versus the one that you've got. This makes the marketing much more effective because they're not talking about all the basics of ScreenFlow that I already understand. They're focusing on why you, specifically you, should upgrade. So there are some ways to increase the number of purchases that each of your customers make. Now we're going to talk about how to increase the value of each of those orders. Actually, before we do that, if you want some help with your digital marketing, my company, Exposure Ninja, we're a digital agency. This is exactly what we do for our clients. We build websites, we optimize them to get them ranked on Google, we drive paid traffic, we run content marketing, email marketing, and we manage social. We can help you generate more leads and sales through your website, but I'm not trying to sell you our services. Actually, we have something free, which is a great way of getting you started. All you need to do is go to exposureninja.com and request a free review of your current website and digital marketing. This will allow us to analyze what you're doing at the moment, how well it's working, and what opportunities you have to generate more leads and sales from your website, including increasing your average order value by following up with customers and building automated repurchase sequences. This service is completely free of charge. All you need to do is go to exposureninja.com/review, fill in a short questionnaire. One of our consultancy team will then do all of the analysis of your website and digital marketing, and they'll put together a 15-minute video highlighting their findings for you with a prioritized action plan that you can follow to generate more sales through your site. This service is completely free of charge and it is totally awesome. One of my favorite things in the whole world is reading feedback from people that have had this review and they email me saying, Tim, I cannot believe this was free. It is insane. I freaking love it. So go to exposureninja.com/review, and when you've had your review, drop me an email to tell me how much you love it. All right, so we've talked about how to increase the number of purchases each of your customers make. Now let's talk about how to increase the value of each of those purchases. The first way to do this is through add-ons and upsells. I'm going to show you two particular examples which I freaking love. The first example is our good friends over at GoDaddy. If you've tried to buy a domain from them recently, you will know they are masters of upsells. What you do is you put your domain in that you want to buy and you click on add to cart. Before we do that though, notice how they're already selling me on a 2-year registration, not the 1-year registration that domains used to be purchased on. Oh no, now their default is 2 years. Why? Increased average order value. So anyway, we click on add to cart and we've got our domain name in here. We click on looks good, keep going, and then the fun starts. We now have to battle our way through various upsells, some of which are default ticked. Now, I've bought hundreds of domains through GoDaddy over the years, and every time I do it, I have to keep my wits about me, otherwise I end up with all sorts of additional add-ons and stuff that I never really wanted. So for example, just on this page here, we're given some stats about how every year millions of people are being abused and criminal stuff is happening with domains. So we're going to need the full domain protection at $6.99 per year. Because at GoDaddy, everything is a subscription. There's a new tagline for you. Or of course, we can upgrade this to ultimate domain protection. And by the way, notice how all of these things is discounted in the first year, meaning that your renewal bill is going to be significantly higher. But by then, they'll have your card details already, so then that's just an auto rebill, so it doesn't really matter, right? Anyway, also notice how you have to activate no thanks in order to be saved from this additional cost. Then you've got start your new website for free. This is the entry point of a whole new world of upsells, because then they want to sell you all sorts of hosting and different add-ons and bits and bobs for that. And of course, they're trying to sell you email addresses, and they've got different packages for different needs, going up to $6.99 and then eventually $12.99 per month. Now, from a user point of view, pretty annoying, but from a business point of view, fantastic. Great job, GoDaddy. Another champion Hall of Famer in the upsell category is Vistaprint, everyone's favorite business card printer. Now, if you've ever tried to buy something from Vistaprint, you'll know that you're going to need a big old sword to whack your way through all of the upsells, which are going to be flying at you from every possible direction. Let's just buy some business cards, for example. Look at this product page. Firstly, we're sold an upgrade on the thickness. Notice how the premium version is recommended. Then we've got all of these different finishes to choose from. You can choose matte if you're like a cheapo scumbag. But if you're really impressive, then you're going to want foil accent or embossed gloss. Then of course, corners. I mean, who wants the standard spiky corners of a business card? That's great if you hate your contacts and want to give them paper cuts. Of course, every modern professional has rounded corners on their business cards, all for an additional fee. Then of course, you've got to choose the quantity. If you're going to be signing up for BNI, you're going to need a few business cards. Better be safe and order 10,000. Now, of course, all of the additional quantities come with discounts to incentivize you to ascend. It's genius. And if you've ever bought something from Vistaprint, you'll know that buying the thing is actually only the start of the fun. As you collapse defeated into a chair thinking you've finally escaped all of the upsells, not so fast, mi amigo. The fun has only just begun, as you are forced to then choose between different monogrammed products, from office tripods to your face on a hot air balloon. Everything that they're throwing at you before and after checkout is focused on one thing: increasing your average order value and therefore increasing the customer lifetime value. Why? Because they are competing in a very competitive and price sensitive space. If they want to maximize their new customer acquisition, they need to maximize the value of every customer that they get through the door. This then allows them to invest more into marketing, which helps them to build market share without having to increase the price of their core product. Another example, my wife just bought me a GoPro. Now, I've always wanted a GoPro, but what I didn't realize about GoPro is that getting a GoPro requires a similar level of additional investment as, say, having a child. Because once you've got the GoPro, you're going to need all sorts. You're going to need cases, tripods, additional battery, cold weather battery. I don't even know what this is. Gooseneck with a clamp. In fact, it turns out that GoPro is an absolute master of the add-ons. By the time you've finished souping up your GoPro, it's gonna resemble a small village. Now, I'm being silly because this is what I do, but really the lessons for all us marketers are super clear. How can we maximize the value of each of our customers by offering add-ons, upsells, and premium options? In fact, let's talk a little bit more about premium versions. You may remember our recent deep dive of Simba Mattress Company. One of the things that I absolutely love about Simba's proposition is the 3 different mattress products they have. They've got the Core, they've got the Hybrid Pro for professional sleepers, and then they've got the Luxe for people that just want the best. Now, I'm an idiot, so I bought the Luxe because I'll always just default to wanting the best of things. But think about what Simba are doing here. They're trying to make sure that any money that you have available for mattress purchase, they get. They want every spare penny that you've got by selling you the best possible thing. So having these 3 options allows them to cater for a wide range of different budgets. And of course, they'll also sell you pillows, duvets, and mattress protectors. Another thing that you'll notice about Simba is they offer monthly payments. Monthly payments are a fantastic way to increase average order value because they reduce price sensitivity. For example, £1,279 one-off payment is going to trigger price sensitivity for some people who don't want to invest all of that in one go, whereas £100 a month feels much more affordable. Now, split pay is absolutely everywhere and is another massive trend of e-commerce over the last few years. And in fact, one of the biggest players in the split pay market, Klarna, claims to increase average order value by up to 58%. You can split pay everything. If you want, you could go on Pretty Little Thing and order this bralette for £2 and then split that £2 payment into 6. If you're enjoying this video, consider subscribing to our channel. We release either 1, 2, or 3 videos per week. Yes, they work me pretty hard, these ninjas. Also, drop us a like because we use the likes to work out which topics you want to see more of. If you've got any questions or things that you want us to cover in future videos, let us know in the comments. On with the show. If you're a B2B company watching all of this thinking, this is all great for these e-commerce brands and direct consumer, well, I assure you, you can absolutely have premium versions of what you sell as well. Just today, I was exposed to a genius upsell strategy from Best Companies. Now, I was super stoked to wake up today to find out that Exposure Ninja has been awarded Outstanding in the Best Companies to Work For. If you're not familiar with it, they carry out surveys of your employees and rank your company as a great place to work against all the other businesses in your industry. We were awarded Outstanding, and of course, we all headed straight to our dashboard to dig into the feedback that had been provided by our employees. What's the first thing that we saw when we entered our dashboard? Upgrade to Pro. Now, you'll notice that some of the things in here are grayed out because we don't have access to them because we don't have access to Pro. But the one thing that is going to make me upgrade this more than anything is this piece here. Notice how 152 comments have been collected from our employees. We don't have access to any of them because we don't have Pro yet. This to me is absolute genius because it demonstrates how well Best Companies understand their upsell process, even though we didn't even know this Workplace Insights Pro existed prior to signing up. They added these comment sections to every questionnaire that we sent to our 110 employees, knowing that we wouldn't even have access to the answers unless we then upgraded. I just love it. I mean, it drives me mad, but I absolutely love it. So there you have it. How to increase your customer lifetime value. You want a checklist, don't you? Okay, so here goes. Remember the 2 levers that we have to pull. Firstly, increasing the number of orders that we get from each customer. So we can do this through things like offering subscriptions and nudging customers into them, either by offering them a discount or some kind of bonus that they don't get for a single purchase. We can also reactivate customers that are either expired or that are coming up for renewal or should be considering repurchasing. Remember that we want to start the promotion for this before they are due to run out to make sure that they don't re-enter the research and shopping phases of the buyer journey. We can also run campaigns to existing customers, encouraging them to upgrade if you're a business that releases something every so often. By focusing on encouraging people to upgrade, we can tailor our marketing message explaining why they need to upgrade based on the thing that they already have. The other lever that we have to increase LTV is increasing the value of each of the purchases that people make. Loads of different ways of doing this that we've covered. For example, add-ons, think GoDaddy. Upsells, think Vistaprint. We can offer premium options. And of course, we can offer flexible payment terms, including split pay. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please don't forget to subscribe. Click the little like button as well. We use this to judge which topics are most popular and which ones we need to focus on in future. If I can be completely honest with you, sometimes when I've had a really tough day, I'll go and read YouTube comments to cheer myself up. So if you've enjoyed this video, please let me know in the comments. And also, what's your favorite customer lifetime value boosting strategy? And don't forget to request your free website and marketing review if, for some bizarre reason, you haven't already done so. Go to exposureninja.com or click the link in the description to do that now. Until next time, see you soon.